Hello, Tamily. It is time for interview 120 with Ask Tamily. And our guest today is very special. She is um, Health by Emily A on Instagram. Her name is obviously Emily. And she actually was an interview that we did way back in the beginning of Ask Tamily. And so we're going to revisit with her today. So we'll get connected in just a minute. She was actually interview 7, and now she's also going to be interview 120. I don't know why it's so surprising to me every single week how many interviews we've done. Okay, so hello.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us for interview 120.
So exciting. I can't believe it.
I can't either. I should be able to believe it, but I can't. So, I was telling everyone before we were connecting that you were actually interview number 7, which is more than 100 interviews ago. So we're excited to get to talk to you again and maybe see if anything is different since the last time we chatted. But we'll just jump right in with our questions. And of course, we'll take some from the chat if anyone wants to type any in during the live interview.
Awesome.
So let's start with when and how did you get involved with the Tracy Anderson method?
Okay. Well, it was when my youngest baby, it will be 9 years this coming January. Like, I can't even believe it. So, when my youngest baby turned a year old, I was 70 pounds overweight, and I had this moment in a mirror where I knew that I just couldn't feel that way about myself anymore. And so I, at that point, started exercising using like old crappy DVDs that I just had at home and, that I'd done like 400 times. And I didn't really like them, but it's what I had. And I started changing the way that I ate. And I started losing weight that way, but it wasn't very fun. So, yeah, January after that, I was looking for something and I was looking at a bunch of different exercise programs. And I saw on people.com Kate Hudson saying something about how she lost her weight with this Tracy Anderson. And then that led me to that infomercial, right? And I watched it over and over. That sounds like so dorky, but I did. Yeah, I hope I'm not the only one. But yeah, and then I just said, this is it. I'm going all in, and I did. And so I did Metamorphosis, and I did all of Continuity.
Oh.
And I actually, we had a brief little moment where we had, like, our budget was this big, and so I had to redo some continuity, which was fine. And then I started streaming a year ago this past March. So it'll be 2 years this coming March.
Wow. We need like a wall or something of all the people that finished continuity. We really do. Because I couldn't take it for like 2 months. But especially people that stuck with it when streaming was available, because that can be so like enticing. And to get away from all of that equipment. So what did you think about like the ball and the hoop and all that stuff that you used?
So I'm like a big time finisher. Like I can't stop in the middle of a project. And so I think that's what made me go through with it. But I got to tell you, by the end, I was doing 6 days instead of 10, because I figure I'm streaming 6, I'll pretend. But all that, yeah, I was not sad to see it go. And I remember like the very last level of continuity, I had the broomstick and the strap, and I had weights on my back and on my ankles, and like I felt like I was in the circus gonna swing from a trapeze. And then the next week I'm like, okay, here I go streaming, and I dove straight into Attain full weights. And everyone, I remember, so this sounds like I'm bragging. I'm not bragging. This just tells you that last level of continuity. I was so happy to have a break, full levels of attain, like full weights on attain, and everyone online was saying this is such a hard one, and I'm like, oh, it feels so good to have a break.
No, that's so true. Like, I know that streaming is hard. Every single class we have is hard, and they only get more difficult all the time. And, it's a new challenge every week, but no way would I have done that stuff that all of you have done in continuity. No way. It's so different to me, especially with the like putting weights on different parts of you and like tying them around your waist and stuff. That is wild.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's super effective, but I don't believe it's sustainable. That's really hard on you to do like every single day, which is why, I mean, Tracy's doing what she does now. She's smart, she knows. So, yeah.
Yeah, like we do, maybe a broomstick or chair or whatever in the lives and stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
When it was in a lot, I always skipped that. But to do that every day for continuity and for like 3 or 4 years, that's so amazing.
Oh, thank you.
So who in the Tamily inspires you?
Oh, see, and I was thinking about this. When we were scheduling dates to do this, I didn't think about the fact that I would be coming right after all of our amazing breast cancer warriors. So that's a little intimidating to go from you're talking to all these amazing women and now, oh, and here's Emily, right?
They're amazing too.
You say that because you're sweet, but they're amazing. So they absolutely inspire me. And I just really think that the people who really inspire me the most is I have a hard time talking. I mean, it doesn't sound like it right now. Right? But being on a video talking to someone is very different than I'm watching everybody and I'm hearting everything and like every once in a while I'll do a little comment. But those women, like you guys, you all know each other's birthdays and you reach out and like you just keep track of the way that this family takes care of each other is just astounding. It's amazing. So all those women who are so good at that, that's who I look up to.
Oh. Well, yeah, I'm amazed by them too. I'm lucky if I know who we're interviewing for Ask Tamily 2 minutes before the interview. So all of that kind of credit has to go to Nicole. But yeah, there's really serious, amazing connections. I mean, especially when you think about people who would never know each other in real life at all and have connected in the Tamily.
My best friends. It's amazing. Yeah.
So just thinking back, obviously it's been, I don't know, way over a year, I guess, since we interviewed. Yeah. You must have been in like the fall of 2018, I guess. Like, oh my God. What has changed for you since then?
Oh my goodness. So the biggest change, Tracy Anderson-wise, is I was doing continuity at that point, and then the switch to streaming. So it has been so fun, so incredible. And I'm so very glad that I'm where I am now. Yeah, and then just, I don't know, life in general, I don't know, we're still doing the same thing, but I think that's the biggest change that I'm so happy about with this program.
So now that you're doing streaming, are you usually doing attain or like, do you ever switch around?
Good question. I usually do attain because FOMO gets me, like, and like the warrior princess inside that says I can do it, right? Like, but lately I've started doing this thing again, the FOMO. Like everyone starts posting their fundamental, and I'm like, oh, that looks so fun. It looks so good. And so usually I used to take rest days on Sundays, and now I just take them when I feel like it, which is usually just once or twice a month. But I use Sundays as my day to kind of flirt with fundamental a little bit and check it out. And then I also will usually, we're all women. I'm going to talk periods for a second. But The very first day of my period, I usually will bump down to start.
Okay.
And then maybe do fundamental the next day and just kind of listen to my body a little more because I do get more tired and worn out. So yeah, I flirt a little there, but mostly
So when Attain was chair week after week after week, what did you think about that?
I at first like I'm like it's like continuity, like and it's obviously so great. There were a couple times where I was like, oh, I don't like you today. But for the most part, I stuck with it and I liked it. There was I think one week of the chair that I mainly did fundamental that week because I was like I'm not there.
Yeah.
So
It
yeah.
is totally different than really the mat. What about dance cardio?
Yes. So I love it. I know there are so many of you who don't like you don't love it, right? Like there's so many people who don't. I am the world's worst dancer. You will very, very rarely see me post dance cardio on Instagram because it's just so bad. But I have a good time and I love it. So that I'll usually kind of do like on the days I'm lower energy, I don't do it or when I don't have enough time. But anytime that I can squeeze it in, I do. I've been loving the new dances.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because I'm an old lady now and my knees are starting to talk to me a little bit. And those new ones aren't so jumpy, and I can actually kind of not look so awkward doing those ones.
They do look really fun. I haven't tried any of them, but they do look fun.
Yeah.
So when you were doing continuity, did you do dance cardio in with that as well, or just focus on the workout?
I did it pretty religiously up until once continuity started getting longer.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a job that was, and right now I work at home and my job's very, very flexible, but I had a job, I had to be there at a certain time or the boss gets mad. So, I would do shortened cardio or sometimes I'd skip it. But up until that point, I was very, like, that was part of what gave me my awesome results, and I was going to keep doing whatever she said, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, especially since, I mean, you had pretty remarkable results. I don't know how long it took you to get there, but I think you lost 70 pounds.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
did you feel like cardio was a really big part of that piece?
I did, yeah. Yeah. And still now, like, I can tell when I don't do as much cardio, like, I'm one of those that you can see it on my body pretty quickly, or at least I can. So, yeah, I do feel like it was a big part. And I know that every person's different, and there are people who look absolutely amazing. They're getting these awesome results, and they don't do a lick of cardio, right?
Right.
But for me personally, it's just, yeah, it's part of it.
I think that's definitely important to point out because I mean there's plenty of people that get ridiculous results and they don't use heat and humidity, they don't, do
Mhm.
any dance cardio. But it's just I think especially interesting to highlight the different ways that people have um, got there. And how important do you think was nutrition in that piece as well? Did you make huge changes there?
Huge. Yes. I think it was 100% important because I've always been very active
Mhm.
and exercise probably like 5 times a week. I used to do a rotation of yoga, some kind of a weight something, and some kind of cardio. Um, but it wasn't until I changed I ate junk food, right? Like that's not gonna work long term. And you're not gonna be this skinny, beautiful,
Yeah.
it's not gonna look good in the mirror. So yeah, we cut processed foods and that was like a process. Took some time, some baby steps. So yeah, huge.
What would be your advice to someone that's new to the method right now, especially if they feel like, there's no way they're going to achieve what they want to achieve?
Well, I have been increasingly fascinated with habits and habit creation, so I'm going to geek out on you just a little bit. I hope you don't mind.
Not at all.
But one thing that I have been learning recently is that when you want to create a new habit, like a new exercise routine, most of us try, like we go all in, right? And we're like, okay, if I'm not doing the entire class every single day, then I'm failing and I might as well quit. When it comes to creating habits, consistency is the most important thing. So if you show up in your exercise clothes and you turn it on and then you don't do anything, you're a step closer to where you want to be, even though you haven't even hit play, right? And so showing up for even just 5 minutes and doing that every single day, once you establish the consistency, then you can increase the quality of what you're doing, right? But you got to make sure consistency comes first. So that's what I would say is don't worry about doing the full workout or hitting all the angles, or you know what, you'll get there. You'll be obsessed just like the rest. How long have you been doing this? Like years and years, right?
6, I think.
Yeah. You get there. You've got time. So cement the consistency and then worry about the rest.
That's such a great point, because I think people really feel like you have to do the whole thing always from the beginning. And you don't want to like let yourself off of doing the whole thing if you can.
Yes.
But
yes.
It's never like, I think some people have posted a few things about like, it's not about how many perfect workouts there are. It's the consistency. Like there's never really perfect workouts. I mean, I know that like Tracy wants us to always perform and always have like that adrenaline, and imagine we're Beyonce and stuff. Like to me, when I was in like my most consistent and getting most results, I would give myself permission to half-ass workouts multiple times a week. Like that's probably not something, anyone wants to admit, but sometimes it's need to get through it. It really is about like making it part of your life every day, where the fact that it's part of your life is easy. Maybe executing every rep and all that, that's the tough part. But to your point, you can get there with that. Like,
yeah,
that's a really important lesson. I think like not everyone realizes, even like trying to bring new people into this crazy Tamily world we're in. Like I have a friend that bought everything, and she's like, but I just, I don't have all of it yet. I don't have the setup. I don't have the clothes. And I'm like, none of us did in the beginning. Like, that's just what you add once you're obsessed. Like, just start it now where you're at with whatever you have on, with no mat. Like, just do something and get it, like, going.
Exactly. Yes. Love it.
What would be your advice to someone that's not new, but they're not feeling motivated right now?
Well, I saw this question before and I had the best answer for it, and now it's gone. But it goes back to like the habits and oh goodness. Oh, this is another thing that I learned, and I'm going to use the example that from the podcast where I learned it from, because it was just so good. But the example that they gave was, if you walked up to someone on the street and you said, and this is about smokers, I'm not a smoker, but if I walked up to someone and I said, would you like a cigarette? And they said, no, I'm trying to quit. Like that's a very acceptable answer. If I walked up to someone else and I said, would you like a cigarette? And they said, I'm not a smoker, right? Same answer, neither one wants it. But one of them has internalized and made it a part of who they are, and the other one is trying to get somewhere, right? So if you are in it and you're trying to be motivated and you're trying to just, instead of trying, you have to change the inner dialogue and the way that you think about yourself. Because I certainly, if you would have looked at me 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I would not have called myself a healthy person. I would not have called myself a fit person or strong or any of those things. Now I would, right? And I am the type of person who wakes up every morning and works out first thing. That's who I am. And so just like that person who said, I'm not a smoker, right? that you have to change your, not that there's anything wrong with trying, right? You have to try before you get there. But as part of it, change the inner dialogue about yourself to this is who I am.
Mhm.
And therefore, that's what I do.
Mhm. Gosh, that is so incredibly important. Like,
I love
as
that
you
one.
say that, I think about like when I started to consider myself an athlete, or like
Mhm.
if, especially because in Tracy, people might think more like that they're a dancer, like,
Yes.
you're committed to a way that you are, and this is a thing that you do because of like being that. And oh, gosh, it just goes to like, you don't realize how powerful your thoughts are. That's
Yeah.
important, such an important point. What kind of challenges have you faced in doing the method?
This is actually one that I would love to hear advice from anyone who has it. But the main challenge that I have is distraction.
Mhm.
Because I do it in the morning and I I try to get up as early as I can, but 5 a.m. keeps getting harder and harder to do, right? And I have kids that I need to get out the door. And while they're older and capable of doing things themselves, sometimes they get stuck in the slow speed. So I'll be mid-workout and I'll pause and go yell at someone to brush their teeth or like it just
Yeah.
and even like the distraction also comes from within myself. I have not been doing a lot of posting about Tracy Anderson stuff for a while. And I think a lot of it is because um, you get so, at least I do, I get thinking about the angles as I'm videoing myself. Is this a good angle? Let me stop and let me adjust the camera. Let me do, and if you saw what I have done, like it's pretty bad. Like it doesn't help. So that's not where my talents lie. But just the distraction of thinking about that instead of focusing on the workout, um, that's where I need to work on and just get one all the way done. Just start the workout and then finish the workout. How do I do that without pausing 4 times? So
Mhm.
I would love if anyone has advice. This light is shining right on my face. Sorry. As I knock everything down.
It's happened before. It's okay.
Okay. Okay, good. So yeah, if anyone has advice for that, that's great. I do want to start posting more of my stuff because I feel like that's how you connect. That's how you say, yes, I'm doing the same thing as you and I love it. Um, but how do I do it without the distraction?
Yeah,
So
I think I don't know. There's really like different phases in the whole aspect of posting, because sometimes it's enhancing your workout, it's enhancing
yes,
your connection, it's, you
yeah.
know, motivating you to actually do it. And other times it is like, did I really spend a half an hour editing video clips? Like, now,
Yes.
to me, it's been so long since I actually like recorded and posted a clip that I don't remember how to do it. So
Because you do live, huh?
the only thing I ever do is live,
Yeah.
and I don't have to do any work for that. Like, I just can press the button. But I find too that like it doesn't serve the purpose it used to serve for me. I mean, I posted every day for like 3 years at least. And now it might be like once or twice a week. But I think you're right though. It definitely doesn't feel like you're as connected. Although just, looking through what other people post and liking stuff and commenting is a way to connect too. It's just I
Yeah.
think sometimes people need that more at different times in their journey. And I think it's important too for people to know, like, you don't have to post every day to be like a real serious member of the Tamily. Like,
Okay, great.
we've even had like Ask Tamily interviews be like, well, I don't post enough, so I don't know if you want to interview me. What does that mean? Like, we have people that are not crazy enough to post their workout photos. Like, everybody is part of this, and I think it's important for people to like realize other people kind of go through that too. Like, you want it to be especially if it's not a positive experience to record and then spend that time, and so you don't want it to start being kind of detracting from what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
but we definitely love to see any videos and anything you want to post.
Oh, thank you.
Do you have any particular tips for doing the method? Maybe when you're not in your regular space, or, if you're traveling, obviously people are limited in their travel in 2020,
Yeah.
but any tips in that area?
I think that it kind of goes back to the part of making it a piece of who you are. When I have traveled, there have been times that, like, there's not enough room in the hotel room because you have a tiny little walkway, right? But going down to the gym, I know some people post those hotel gym videos, and they are just fearless. And I'm such a shy little, I don't know, like it's very difficult to me. However, this is a part of who I am. And so therefore I'm going to go do it one way or another, even if that's trying to kick between. We went to a cabin at a lake this past summer, and I really was kicking between the bunk beds in the bedroom that my kids had. And you just make it work. You find a way, and if you can plan ahead, and see like the space online, that's very, very helpful. I like to take my weights, even though it makes the suitcase super heavy. And so if you're going through an airport, make sure I put them in my carry-on. So I can take a heavier bag to check, and then take them out when you go through security. Everyone probably already knows this, but I had to learn the hard way. Like, they want to look at those.
Right.
And then, yeah. So, and I always make a joke about being the crazy lady who likes to work out on vacation. But I also think that's another super important thing to think about is when you're on vacation, you want to be able to feel good and to have fun and to go and be able to do those things you need to do. And what does that for us is exercise, right? So if you are used to being a super healthy person who works out all the time, and then you go on a trip and you're like, I'm going to eat all the junk and not work out, you're not going to have as much fun because you're going to feel like crap. So just making it a priority.
Have you always been a person that worked out in the morning?
Yes. I have tried the evening thing, and I know it works for so many people, and it does not for me. And I think that's something that's super important to recognize. Everything that I need to do in my day, I stack in the morning. Because guaranteed, once evening hits and like my husband's home from work and the kids are home, I just want to sit on the couch. I'm not going to go break out the workout gear. I want to hang with them. And so, yeah, that's the only way to make it happen for me.
Yeah, and it definitely does, I don't know, change your like orientation to accomplishment. Like doing that in the morning, even though I was a evening workout person until the last few months, and oh God, it is terrible to have to wake up, but it's so great to have it done. Like, but the waking up is very, very, very I definitely wouldn't do it if we weren't in a work from home mode. Like the people who will get up before to do it.
No.
Oh no, I would hit myself in the face with a weight. I don't know how. And some of them, I mean, there's people in the Tamily that have done that for a decade. It's too interesting.
It's so true.
Have you ever converted anyone to the Tracy Anderson method?
Yes. And this is actually another thing that I would love to hear from people. I am so proud. On my website, I have a post. There was one day years and years ago that I read some kind of backlash against Tracy. I don't know, I don't remember why I did this, but I got really heated. And I wrote this whole big blog post that I called Dear Tracy Anderson Haters Club. And that is one of the most popular posts on my site. And I still get people commenting today saying, I started because of you, or I read your post and I was against Tracy Anderson, and then I tried it out and I loved it. And so I don't know how many saw that, my weird rant in the middle, I think it was even in the middle of the night, that I was like, "Ugh," and just typed it up. Anyway, I would love to know how many
Mm-hmm.
have seen that. I'm just curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
just interesting to me to find
Yeah.
out.
You'll have to like repost it so people can go see it if they haven't seen
Oh,
it.
maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Um,
I'll try and find it.
well, it looks like we have a question from Aggie, who always asks very deep questions during us.
Oh,
So her question is, which one of the five senses do you deem the most important?
oh.
Deep.
I might not be deep enough for Aggie. She's so thoughtful and just
Yes.
that is such a good question because it really kind of comes down to which one would I hate to give up the most, right? That's how I think of this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh, I think I could give up sight and be okay. I love hearing my daughters play the piano and hearing their voices. Could I give that up? I adore food. Could I give up taste? I don't know. Like touch, like could I go without feeling the hugs of people I love? Ooh, that's so deep. Maybe, you know what? Smell. Let's get rid of smell.
Yeah,
Sometimes that'd be nice.
you're in taste also. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Food is like, no. Oh my gosh. That question
Ooh,
is very difficult.
yes.
I guess
Yes.
smell though is like, I don't know, maybe.
It's tied to taste, so you wouldn't really want to get rid of it. But at the same time, I have kids and they do stinky things, so it might be good to, it might be okay to get rid of that one.
Oh my God. Wow. Aggie is like the best question asker. That was a good.
That's a good one.
Um, what do your friends and family think of the Tracy Anderson method?
Well, my husband loves it, or at least, loves the results. So, so he just, and to him, he's so used to just me doing that every morning, and he walks through the living room and he dodges kicks, and it's fine. Um, Same thing with my kids. They know the kick zone and how to stay out of the way. This is just what mom does, and they'll get on the mat with me and they'll
Aw.
do it. I have one sister that, yeah, it's fun. It's really fun. I have one sister who thinks it's amazing, but it's the hilarious part to me is the rest of my family kind of had, like, I have a huge family, lots and lots of brothers and sisters, and all of them, anytime that I bring it up, they kind of roll their eyes and they have this attitude of, you're not done with that yet? You're still doing that? And we actually, at that cabin this past summer, it was all my siblings, my parents, um, and all of that all stayed in this cabin at the lake. And it was so funny because I woke up and I started my workout and I could hear them in the kitchen upstairs. And my one brother said, "Oh, where's Em?" And my husband said, "Oh, she's downstairs doing her workout." And he said, "Oh, okay, ha ha ha." And then he kind of came halfway down the stairs where he could see me and he said, "Oh, you are," just in shock. So they all think I'm crazy. And that's fine
Yeah.
because I feel good in my skin and don't mind putting on a bathing suit. So,
Right. It is, I mean, it's interesting that, like, faction of people that exercise as part of their life, regardless of what method it is, and then people that are like, why would you spend, vacation time working
mhm.
out? Like it's a waste or something. And yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's interesting to see those different perspectives.
I think you're
What would be your advice, maybe specific to like moms, about balancing nutrition and activity for their kids?
Oh, okay. So really, so the thing to remember with kids is that you're in it for the long game. Like this is actually something that through my job, I talk to a lot of parents, and this is a question that comes up a lot. And they're like, they're so picky. What do I do? If your kid was learning how to walk and they fell down, you wouldn't be like, oh, they're just not a walker. They're not a walker. And then carry them around for the rest of their life, right?
Right.
That's not what we do, right?
Yeah.
And yet so many parents will put broccoli in front of their kids and their kids will take a bite and they'll make the face. And that face doesn't mean bad, right? It means different. This is different. But they see the face and they say, oh, my kid just doesn't like broccoli. And then they never feed it to them again, right? So I think just remembering you're in it for the long game. Keep getting those healthy foods in front of them. Even if all they eat on their plate is the junk, right? At least have broccoli there so they get used to it on their plate. And eventually they will try it and maybe they'll like it, maybe they won't. But get them used to the landscape and let them see you eating it. So and let them see you moving, let them see you exercise, talk to them about, and we have to be so careful how we talk to our kids, right? Because you don't want to, they get enough of that crap body talk from the world, right? So I'm super careful to talk to my kids about, we eat healthy foods because our bodies use these foods to rebuild and to make our systems function. And if you were, had someone building a house for you and you gave them, I don't know, pine cones and twigs, like how good of a job are they going to do?
Right.
Right? So these fruits and vegetables, these are the really good building materials that our bodies need. And they're awesome builders. You can have like treats sometimes, but anyway, so I think it's important to talk to your kids about how we're not eating to be skinny. We're eating to help our bodies work the way they're supposed to. We're active because that's what our bodies are supposed to do and because it makes us feel good. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's such an important thing. I find it so inspirational when I see like Tamily members that are creating the right, focus for their kids on exercise and nutrition. Because I don't have any kids, but I think about like when I grew up, there was like a dread about exercise. Exercise is tiring and difficult, and people do it like because they want to lose weight, but it's always really hard. And like, that negativity is in my brain still, that sometimes I have to be like, I like my workout. Let me go do it because I like it. Like, it's weird that happens, but you're so right with that, because you want to make sure that they don't feel like it's to be skinny, like it's to be strong, healthy, and
and it's a good thing.
Like not something to dread and hate. Like for their whole lives, they will hear in their mind the way that you have talked about nutrition and movement. So thanks for being a good example for that. I love seeing it.
Thank you.
Let me see what else I have to ask you. Okay, we still have a little bit of time. So what's your general philosophy about working out?
I think I kind of answered this already, didn't I?
True.
Just making it a part of you. But an extension on that, I think, is the philosophy of, so many people use exercise as an excuse for food, right? And it's, I ate that brownie, let me go burn it off with the exercise. So one thing another analogy that I use is, because you're never going to burn enough calories to lose weight exercising. I don't care how amazing your exercise is, if you're eating junk, it doesn't work, right? So what I like to tell people is, what you eat determines your size, okay, so your weight, and then how you move determines your shape. So that's your toning, and if you notice, like all the Tamily members, of course we all have very different, very beautiful bodies, but there are lots of similarities as well. You can look at someone and be like, oh, okay, I think I know which workout you do. And like swimmers, they all have the really broad shoulders and the narrow waist, and like people who do the same workout end up looking the same. So if weight is what you really want to shift, you have to look at food. But exercise is so important, not to shrink you, right? but to balance the chemistry in your brain, to give you endorphins, to make you feel good. That's what you need in order to be able to get out in life. And oh my gosh, but when I was overweight, I couldn't go run and play with my kids. I'd sit on the bench at the playground and just be like, mm. And now I'm chasing circles around them, right? So we exercise for that. We don't exercise to shrink.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a very, very important lesson. So I think some people know the answer to this, but I want to make sure we ask this one too. Where do you live and what do you do?
So I live in an itty bitty tiny town in the middle of Utah, and it's a little tiny farmhouse. I've got chickens in the back and a giant yard, a big garden, lots of fruit trees. If there's any other Tamily members who live in Utah, please tell me because I can't find you. I want to know anyone else who lives close by because I kind of feel like I'm all alone.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's
There's
where I live.
gotta be some though. There has to be some. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't find them.
Okay.
And I think there was one time that yeah. There was one time someone posted something and they tagged Salt Lake and I'm like, you're close to me. And she's like, I fly back home tomorrow.
Oh.
So anyway, and then for my job, I'm now full-time a holistic health coach. And that has shifted. I used to be mainly focused on helping women to lose weight. But now, so many women have contacted me that have polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is what I had, that made it so hard to lose the weight and gave me problems with infertility and things like that. So now I get to talk about periods and hormones and all that stuff all day. And it's so fun. It's so fascinating to dive into how amazing our bodies are as women.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. It's so important too to be able to connect that stuff with nutrition, how you move, and to be able to have some control over your health, even in regard to things
mm-hmm.
that feel uncontrollable.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Okay, let me see what else I have to ask you. What is important to you that you want to share with the Tamily?
Oh, goodness. See, now I'm like not thinking well. I think just the most important thing I think is the way that we support and we love each other. I mean, there are so many people in this group who we come from all over the world, all of these different backgrounds. And I just think the example here of love and support, regardless of all of our differences, is, so maybe it's more something the Tamily's teaching me, but I just want to say, keep reflecting that, keep, bringing that to the surface because it helps me so much. And I know that we need, it's such a crappy world today, right? We need that. We need the support. We need the love. Mm-hmm. And just the unconditional. I know that if I post something, like if I post my dance cardio and I look awkward and awful, mm-hmm. I know I'm going to get a million comments. You go, girl. You look amazing. You're so wonderful. I know it. And it doesn't matter that they're all lies because I'm so terrible at dance, right?
They're not lies.
No, you haven't seen it. You haven't seen it.
We're going to end up challenging you to post it, and you're going to post
it. No one wants to see, really. But just, having a place where we can go that is safe and supportive is just so wonderful. It's key. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think there's anything else like this community. It's the only community I've ever personally experienced that's like this. And I don't know how we would go through the things that we've gone through in life to this point without it, especially with everything that's gone on in 2020. I don't know what I would do without the Tamily. And it's to your point about having a community where people are literally from all over the world. I mean, there's people we would never know that we actually connect with and have totally different lives and perspectives. And It truly, truly is amazing. I mean, if there are any other communities like this, I would like to know where they are. Because when you think too about like your point on positivity, which the family is not lying to each other, we're just lifting each other up. But you're right. You know, you could post something in some other kind of a forum. I mean, you think about how negative internet communities are. Like most of them are out there just to, you know, people to say the worst things they can think of about people. And that doesn't happen. Even if you do feel like, you know, you look awkward, you're not doing something right. I mean, I've never even seen someone say like, "Oh yeah, you're not doing that right." Like I'm waiting for the day that someone, did you know you flat out used the wrong leg during that move? And they won't.
It doesn't happen. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. So we have another question in the chat from another of our favorite Emily's, Emily Hanna. And she wants to know, what is your favorite book?
See, oh gosh, that's too hard. I can't narrow it down. So, and of course I have a stack right here. So, I usually am reading at the same, I can never read one book at a time because my attention is, so I'm usually reading a nonfiction and a fiction book at the same time. So this one, Atomic Habits, James Clear, my obsession with habits, a lot of what I was telling you about is here.
Okay.
Love, it's fascinating, so fascinating. This one, Woman Code, Alyssa Vitti, amazing. And she has a book called In the Flow, and she's really talking about how we live in a man's world where we're expected to do the same things every day, but really we have a very cyclical nature. Our bodies change a lot from throughout the month, right? And our cortisol naturally rises at certain points and it lowers at certain points, and our nutritional needs actually change. And anyway, so she has this one, she has one called In the Flow, and they're both, if you're fascinated with periods, there you go. But then fiction-wise, this is where I'm going to pull my geek card out and let it fly. Because any other geeks out there who read fantasy, there's an author named Brandon Sanderson.
Okay.
And he writes just these amazing fantasy books that are incredibly detailed. And right now, the one that I'm reading of his is, oh my goodness, I can't remember the name of it. Pick up any of his books if you're interested in epic fantasy. There you go. So, but I think my favorite one of his was actually called Skyward, but he warned that that's part of a series and he only has 2 books out. And so you'll get to the end of the second one and be angry because you don't know what happened.
Yeah, that can be a challenge. Thank you for sharing those books with us. I really like the things you shared about habits. I might have to pick up that habit one.
Oh, it's so good. It's fascinating. Yeah, love it.
Well,
oh, someone is a Discord fan. I love you. See, that's Brandon Sanderson right there. Yeah. So
okay.
he's a Utah guy, so I've been able to meet him.
Okay.
Just no Tammy members.
Huh. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
We gotta find some Utah Tammers for you. They're out there.
Yes.
Well, I think that's all of the questions that we had planned, and I believe we got all the questions in the chat. Lots and lots of love for you out there, Emily. All these cards, and you're amazing. But we did get questions. So, any last words that you would want to share with the Tamily while you have this audience?
You know, goodness, I don't know. I think the main thing that I would love to share is, even though I am very quiet and I don't comment, I'm watching you guys and I'm rooting you on, and I will comment more. But if you need anything, and I feel like any Tamily member would say this, right? But if you need anything, I would love to help you. And I know that I'm all alone in Utah. But whatever I can do, just reach out because I would love to be your best cheerleader or, get reciprocate a little bit on the amazing support that I've gotten so far. Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely something that, I think especially for people that are newer, and a lot of the time new people will watch these interviews, reach out to anyone and ask any question. Like, there's
Yes.
no like initiation to the Tamily. There's no you have to do your time or something. You just reach out and everybody will help you with information and yeah, like and especially with, the perspectives that you've offered about nutrition and balancing, like, definitely all people have to do is reach out.
Well, and I get so excited when people do too. When they ask me questions, I'm like, oh, I get to share. Let's
Yeah.
geek out about this thing we're obsessed with together. So yeah, I love it.
Well, thank you so much, Emily, for being interview 120 after having been
Thank
interviewed 7. It's so amazing.
you. Okay.
And this interview is going to go up right now onto the Ask Tamily site, and then it will go on YouTube in a few days, forever and ever.
Okay. Thank you so much. You're wonderful.
Thank you. You're wonderful. Emily, have a great weekend. Thanks, Emily.
You too. Bye.
Bye, everybody.